Imagine a prison so feared that the world believed escape was not just difficult, but impossible. A place surrounded by freezing water, violent ocean currents, and constant armed surveillance. A prison where inmates were told that even if they managed to get past the walls, the sea itself would finish the job. That place was Alcatraz Island. Rising from the middle of San Francisco Bay like a slab of stone, Alcatraz was never just a prison. It was a psychological weapon, a message to the most dangerous criminals in America that there was nowhere left to run. The water around the island was brutally cold, often below 13 degrees Celsius. The currents were unpredictable and powerful, capable of dragging even strong swimmers far out into the Pacific Ocean. Guards were armed, watchtowers were manned, and the cells were made of steel and concrete. The official belief was simple: no one could escape Alcatraz and survive. But history has a way of challenging certainty. Among the inmates sent to Alcatraz was a quiet, intelligent man named Frank Morris. He wasn't the loudest prisoner or the strongest, but he was something far more dangerous: intelligent, patient, and observant. Frank Morris had escaped from prisons before. Authorities believed Alcatraz would finally contain him. They were wrong. From the moment Frank arrived, he began studying the prison, not with panic or desperation, but with calm curiosity. He watched guard routines. He listened to sounds at night. He memorized schedules, shadows, silence. Behind his cell's sink was a small ventilation opening, no larger than a dinner plate. To most people, it meant nothing. To Frank Morris, it meant opportunity. Years of salt air and moisture had weakened the concrete. With nothing more than a stolen metal spoon, Frank began scraping the wall, night after night. Slowly, carefully, patiently. The noise was masked by music hour, when prisoners were allowed to play instruments. The dust was hidden, flushed down toilets, or scattered in the prison yard. Weeks turned into months. The wall began to give way. Frank was not alone for long. Two brothers occupied nearby cells, John Anglin and Clarence Anglin. Unlike most inmates, the Anglin brothers had grown up swimming in rivers and icy waters. They were strong, disciplined, and fearless in the water. Where guards saw death, the brothers saw a challenge. Together, the three men formed a plan that would take nearly a year to complete. Escaping the cell was only the beginning. The real challenge was fooling the guards. Every night, guards walked past the cells, shining flashlights to check that prisoners were asleep. If a bed was empty, the alarm would sound immediately. The solution was both simple and brilliant. Using soap, toilet paper, toothpaste, and stolen prison supplies, the men crafted lifelike dummy heads. They painted them with flesh tones stolen from the art room. They used real human hair collected from the prison barber shop. In the dim light of the cell block, the heads looked real, too real. Placed carefully under blankets, they created the illusion of sleeping prisoners. Behind the widened vent holes was an unused service corridor, a hidden space above the cell block that guards rarely checked. This became their secret workshop. Here they worked on the most ambitious part of the plan. More than 50 raincoats were stolen and stitched together by hand. Using steam pipes for heat, they sealed the seams, creating a makeshift inflatable raft and life vests. This was not desperation. This was engineering. Every detail mattered. Every mistake could mean death. Finally, on June 11th, 1962, everything was ready. As lights went out, the dummy heads were placed carefully on the beds. The men climbed through the vents, into the corridor, and up a vertical pipe to the prison roof. They crossed the rooftop silently, avoiding guard towers and staying within blind spots they had memorized for months. Then, without alarms, without gunfire, and without a single shout, they disappeared into the darkness.
At the water's edge, they inflated the raft and slipped into San Francisco Bay. The ocean was black, the water was freezing, the current was strong. Their destination was Angel Island, just over a mile away. That was the last confirmed sighting of Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin. The next morning, guards approached the cells as usual. The beds appeared occupied, but when they touched the figures beneath the blankets, the illusion collapsed. Soap heads rolled onto the floor. The prison went into lockdown. Search boats flooded the bay. Helicopters scanned the water. The FBI launched a massive investigation. But there was a problem. No bodies were ever found. In 1979, the FBI officially closed the case, concluding that the men had drowned due to hypothermia and strong currents. But doubts remained. Family members of the Anglin brothers reported receiving postcards for years after the escape. A photograph surfaced in the 1970s, allegedly taken in Brazil, showing two men who closely resembled the Anglin brothers. Flowers appeared on their mother's grave every year, long after the escape, even when the brothers were presumed dead. In 2013, the U.S. Marshals reopened the case, stating that survival was possible under the right conditions. Ocean current simulations showed that if the men entered the water at the correct time, the currents could have carried them toward land, not out to sea. And the Anglin brothers were strong swimmers. Today, Alcatraz is a museum. Tourists walk the cell blocks. They look at the vents, the dummy heads, and the faded photographs. But one question still echoes through the corridors. Did they drown, or did they succeed?